A boorish gentleman of Verona, desiring marriage for money, is arranged with the explosively volatile daughter of the wealthiest man in Padua, and they both end up learning how to be better people for it. Unfortunately, I made that last part up. The reality is far more depressing, which Ryan and I discovered as we dug up Franco Zeffirelli's 1967 adaptation of Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew. And that's the movie we're exhuming this week on Movie Bones. I watched a movie about abuse and how successful it is. And I just don't care for watching people get abused. I feel like at least the latter half of the movie, and apparently from the source material, that's what's there. This is a story about successful abuse, isn't it?
100% it's about successful abuse. That's what makes this story so bothersome.
It took me about halfway through the movie for me to really pick up on that was the direction it was going in. I mean, because you have the character, you have Petruchio, played by Richard Burton, who's doing a wonderful job, I might add, in terms of like eating up this role. He plays Petruchio like nobody's business. He's acting his heart out. You think initially it's going to be one of those situations where you have two really awfully temperamented people pit against each other, and somehow they both end up, being made better for it at the end. It's all going to be laughter, fun, and games at the end. But somewhere in the middle, shortly after they're married, which is itself, it was a funny scene. You start to see that all the things that Elizabeth Taylor's Katerina was doing to try to do her striking out at him was starting to fail. And all his attempts to get at her were succeeding, to the point where it's like, eventually it's like, well, she's just cowed. And then she becomes completely pliant. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it was a slow growing stone. That stone in my gut, like I said, it just really felt awful. It's like, why would anyone? It made me think, why would anyone enjoy watching this? I
100% agree with what you're saying. I haven't personally read this particular play. I don't know if I will at this point. It's about him taming her. It's literally about him taming her. It's almost like she's an animal. And in some ways, you're sitting there going, would I even treat an animal like this? Now, I was thinking, there is some kind of leeway here. We don't really know the reason. And I want to make this very clear with what I'm about to say. I am not saying this is justifiable at all. What I am saying is this. Her character, Elizabeth Taylor's character, Katerina, is awful. And we don't really know why she's awful, but she is just awful. So, you could maybe sit there and go that he's treating her the way she treats everybody else. And in some ways, yeah, she kind of does. But again, it's still very off-putting because it doesn't feel like a love story. Now, you could say, well, this is a comedy. You're right. And maybe that's the satire of all of that. But the problem is in this day and age, we don't think that way anymore. And if someone said, hey, this is, if someone painted that picture for us, then yeah, give me some context, but there's no context. There's no context to her awfulness. And it's just, she's awful and he's really not that great himself, but he's better.
Marrying, the only reason he wants to marry is for money. He made that pretty clear at the outset. He wants to marry for money. You can see, it's like he's a pig.
Yeah.
What Katerina does to everyone else, she just seems like she always wants to be angry. And it really would have helped if we understood a little bit more about why she was angry. But when it's directed at him, I was eating that up, man. Because he's a pig. It's like, yeah, you're bad-mannered, but he's a pig. And so throw all that at him. Go ahead, It makes sense. There's a scene where they're in that loft. It's not in the loft, but there's a bunch of cotton or something. And it's like she's reveling for a moment until he starts popping his head up through the hatch. And is trying to persuade him, and I am a gentleman of Verona. It's and she's like, no. She starts throwing apples at him and sitting on the hatch to make it go back down again. And he's like, you go. I did do some research on this. I went back and looked up the original play. Apparently, there's a lot of controversy, even in Shakespeare's time, about the play. I think even back in the day, they kind of knew. And then other people have said that, well, Shakespeare, this is an early work of his. He may have been playing with, certain framing device. There's a framing device that gets referenced. I can't think of it, the way that the play opens. And I can't think of the name of the framing device that they used, that supposedly he used. But it's supposed to, that was kind of, I guess it's meant as a way to like, don't take any of this except as a criticism of what I'm talking about. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
see that, and I don't get it. And if you're trying to play with that subtlety, I think it really has to come off I don't even know if you could take the same play, as you could, I suppose, take the same play. And if you turned the performances just a little bit on their head, to make sure you made it clear that you're winking at the audience, telling them, this is a dark comedy. If you had the same result where she's completely like domesticated at the end, where she's completely subservient, and have it be more like a horror story, where look what you took from this woman kind of a thing, and you're celebrating it. And it could just be a matter of like, what music do you play during that moment, because music is very powerful at that.
But I mean, I think everybody can agree that Shakespeare, the setup around him, like in our day and age, yeah, it'd be left-leaning people. Again, I'm not saying good or bad when I say that, but I'm saying like they're more progressive people, because that's just generally where the realm of plays and where the realm of stories tends to fall, is in that progressive nature.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of does make sense that there'd be people around him going, huh, you know, like,
The artistic community.
this is a bit much, especially when what happens. And that's not to say there aren't funny parts. There's not to say there's not some good dialogue or anything like that. But it is just, you get to the back half of it and you're going, oh my.
Well, and it's not just even like obviously there's some physical abuse there too, but it's the psychological stuff that really kind of got under my skin the most. When they're on their way back for the wedding of her sister, they stop and they talk to this guy, and he tells Katerina, look at this beautiful young woman. And she has to basically be gaslit right in front of her eyes. And willingly so, she's very eager to be gaslit, apparently. There's no way, it's not like in the movie Gaslight, where it's like there's a reasonable way that this woman could be, possibly be doubting her own sanity. No, this is a guy your husband is telling you is a girl, a beautiful young girl, and you're supposed to say, yes, how beautiful and marvelous this young woman is, and then turn it around when she does that, flip the truth back on her, and she's supposed to go along with that.
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind? I think that's probably, if anything, that got the audiences back then. It's like, this is something deeply morally wrong here, and to have it validated at the end with the stupid contest, which wife is the most submissive,
It'd make a really good horror movie, honestly. It's probably, in my opinion, the most uncomfortable scene of the movie.
There's another movie you said that takes the idea and kind of does something else with it.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, there is a really good, I think it's a really good movie. In fact, it makes me kind of want to sit down and watch it again. Or go back and watch it, because it's on Disney Plus. If anybody's got Disney Plus, it's 10 Things I Hate About You, starring Julia Stiles and then the late, great Heath Ledger. That, to me, is the best version of this story. First off, she is angry. Like, the character, her name's Kat in the movie as well, Katrina, but she's an angry person. But there's a reason why she's angry. There's a reason why she has sworn off men of sorts. Now they're in Holland High School, so, just understand that. But still, there's a reason why she's sworn off men. She had a bad experience with a guy who's a prominent character of sorts in the film. And then, like, you even have the same exact setup. Her dad won't let anybody date her younger sister until she's dating someone herself. And of course, she doesn't want to do that. She doesn't want to date anybody. And then you've got like the characters like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's the character that plays the same character as, what is his name? Cyril? Is it Cyril Cusack?
Oh, Grumio?
I think it's Grumio.
I'm not sure. See, I don't remember which one he played. I remember Petruccio and Caterina.
Or it's Baptista.
Baptista's the dad.
The characters that come in that start the movie, we're going to try to be tutors. They do that same exact thing. Like, the way that he gets in with the younger sister is by being her tutor. Mercutio, that character is played by Heath Ledger. like he is like a really cool guy. He is kind of like a, but he's made up to be the bad boy and everything. This is what they do to flip it on the head, though. And I think this works really well, especially now after seeing this particular movie. Yes, he's doing everything he can to woo her. However, in the process, he starts cleaning up his own act. She's being tamed, but he's also taming himself.
It's better to rely on a storytelling principle that applies to some universal truth. And the sexist version of things has you believe that the universal truth is more particular in terms of about this is how women are and this is how men are. And of course, it's telling it in such a way that the men are always placed at the top of the pyramid. The actual truth is it's like all humanity is broken. And it's like we need each other to help each other. And it can make the same story go in a way that actually feels fulfilling to everybody, is that you have both these characters have deep flaws. And against all odds, having these two deeply flawed people come together actually brings out their better angels, oddly enough.
Yeah,
and that's what you want.
That is exactly what happened in that particular movie. I'm sitting there going, that is the better version of this story. And it's just the clear in a way. Yeah, go watch that movie. I know The Taming of Shrews has been done multiple times in different ways. But in my opinion, 10 Things I Hate About You is just the way better story, the way better version of the story. And you're dealing with late 90s, early 2000s. So maybe not everything's perfect, but it's still, I just think it's a superior version of this particular story.
I've read a number of other Shakespeare's comedies. One of my favorites is Much Ado About Nothing. It's a similar relationship in terms of these two flawed characters coming together. And there it actually works because they're both flawed and they both have to, confront each other's, foibles in a way that actually helps themselves improve. That's because you have Benedict and Beatrice in that one. And so that's even within Shakespeare's time. I did notice that this actually stars an actor that I actually kind of like seeing, and I've seen him in other movies. Have you ever seen Michael York?
Yeah.
This is apparently his first movie.
Really?
I was expecting more of a role from him, actually, but he plays...
Oh, that's the guy who I was talking about earlier. That's who I couldn't figure out. Because he also played... Yeah, I know who Michael York is, because he was in Cabaret.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, he was the male lead.
I haven't seen Cabaret, but I didn't expect him to be in that movie.
Did we not do Cabaret?
I have not seen Cabaret, no.
I swear we've done Cabaret for this.
No, we haven't done
show.
that. We haven't done that here, no. I have seen him in another movie. It came out in 1975. I don't know if we'll ever get to watch it. It's called Logan's Run.
Yeah, I know what you're... Yeah. I started watching Logan at one point. I stopped watching it. It got boring.
I wouldn't call it a movie I go back to very often, but it does have some sentimental value for me. It's got some weirdness in there that just kind of, I find that endearing. I don't know if anyone's going to be too surprised, but this is sadly my second Kill It With Fire this year. I was really frustrated and upset in a way because I really love what Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor are doing here. They're just doing such a good job at playing those roles. But the roles themselves, I wish it was in service to something I could actually get behind. It's got this morally abhorrent quality to it that we've obviously spent the whole episode talking about, mostly in different ways. And you can't get away from it. It's like the black hole at the center of the universe. It sucks you in. Whatever good there is, it sucks it in and obliterates, whatever. It fills your vision with that. I didn't feel good after watching it. And not in the kind of way that, I just watched Schindler's List and I'm feeling really down. No, that's not it. I feel dirty in it like I just watched something that's trying to convince me of something immoral. And that's bad. So it's just like, well, what other choice do I have? I mean, from my own personal point of view, this is me reacting to it. Kill It With Fire is the only thing I got.
From just the story itself, I'm in agreement with everything you just said, Kill It With Fire. Here's the weird thing about this. This is a good, in its sense, adaptation of The Taming of the Shrew. If you're a person that wants to go through Shakespeare's stuff, whether you like it or you don't like it, this is like a must watch because it's a good adaptation of the particular play. And some people that they just consume media that way. So in that sense, it's a fortune and glory because, again, it's a good adaptation. I'm not going to sit down, there are very few Shakespearean plays that I like to see from the world in which it is. Honestly, I think most Shakespearean plays do a very good job, or at least most people, or a lot of people have done a very good job of making very modern adaptations of Shakespearean plays. Again, not much ado about nothing, but I've heard that one's a good one.
Yeah, do watch that one. I would highly recommend that one. Yeah.
10 Things I Hate About You, though, which is an adaptation, of course, of this particular play. I've seen modern versions of Hamlet, which are all very good in their own right. Hamlet being my favorite. I'm going to be real with y'all. That's my favorite Shakespearean play. People have done a good job of modernizing these particular movies, even keeping these particular stories, even keeping the language. I mean, even though I think it's a little bit more camp than people would like, but like the modern version of Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio is really well loved by a lot of people.
I have noticed that. I haven't seen it, but I've noticed it.
It's a really good modern version of that particular story. So, like, I'm not going to recommend this particular movie. I'm going to recommend the other, like, the adaptations of these movies.
This is not our first Shakespeare adaptation. We watched Throne of Blood and loved it.
Yeah. And
freaking loved that movie.
That one's off Macbeth, and eventually, I don't think there's a modern adaptation too much of one that we would probably cover, but at some point we're going to cover a Hamlet.
Well, Hamlet's been, there's a Mel Gibson version. There's other versions even more recent than that.
Incredibly long. I don't think people like the Mel Gibson version of the movie.
It's been such a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah, but
I remember liking it at the time, but it's been so long.
Yeah.
You know. But anyway, yeah, so I can't think of anything else to say for Taming of the Shrew, but we have another movie next week so, you know, we perhaps can redeem ourselves, and I hope we don't end up with a third one before the end of the year. If it was, I hope it's not going to be this one, but you never know.
I will say, Tubi's got this has got a pretty, wild sentence here that I'm about to read. Tubi says this about this particular movie: the machinations of a lusty landlord threaten the bliss of a couple trying to determine their character compatibility by living together platonically. That is an interesting premise.
Yes.
This movie is starring Jack Lemmon, a name that sounds so familiar to me.
The Apartment.
That's why. Carol Lindley, Dean Jones, and Eddie Adams. This is directed by David Swift, and this is next week's film, Under the Yum Yum Tree.
Under the Yum Yum Tree. I want to think that it's a musical, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is, at least. We have a few musicals, I think, on our to-do list. I don't know if I'm getting mixed up with that. We'll see if it is or not. But in any case, yeah, that's our film next week. It's quite a departure from this week's movie in tone, at least, if nothing else. So in any case, folks, we hope you do join us for Under the Yum Yum Tree and for all our future episodes. And if you're having fun listening with Ryan and I talk about these movies, please do like, subscribe, comment, and of course, follow us on your podcast purveyor of choice. Recommend some movies to us that we haven't done yet. You know, we like to hear stuff as long as it's before 1975 and for free on Tubi or similar platforms. So there you go. And I think that's pretty much it, Ryan. So I guess I'll see you next week. And folks out there, we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye, folks.
Good morrow, Kate. Good Kate, I am a gentleman.
That I'll try!